When I was 6 years old, I pulled out the hair on top of my head. This would not have been so weird if my father wasn't a hairdresser. Yes, my dad did hair. Ladies went to him to get their hair shaped into hair helmets that stood firm in the face of wind or even a hurricane. My dad owned Preston Hairdressers, a salon reserved for wealthy ladies in the Park Cities. I remember him putting his big daddy hands in my hair when he cut it. I begged him to let me have long hair. No, he insisted, you have short curly hair and it will look so cute in a pixie. I want to see your pretty face. Did he want me to be an androgynous outcast? All I wanted was to feel like the other girls whose hair flew behind them when they chased boys on the playground. In protest, I twisted strands around my forefinger and yanked. The ripping pain into pleasure sensation felt good. My parents asked me to stop, but I didn't want to. To cover my bald spot, they made me wear a brown velveteen beanie. I looked like a little Jewish boy wearing a dress. To make matters worse, I was very tall for my age and had to wear corrective shoes for my flat feet. What a sight I was. I was acutely aware of the difference between me and my friends. Their dads sat behind desks, drank beer after work, and watched sports on TV. My dad stood behind a salon chair, played tennis, and listened to Mahler. When I was 10, my dad finally let my hair grow out. The hair pulling died down and my girlhood blossomed. By high school, I had a big Farrah Fawcett hairdo that my dad highlighted. I felt so sexy. So I got a boyfriend and snuck him into my bedroom. Sexual pleasure obscured feeling embarrassed about my hairdressing father. Finally, during my senior year, my self-esteem improved. I made drill team captain and the National Honor Society. But even though I no longer yanked the hair out of the top of my head, I started to pull it out behind each ear. It soothed me. My blonde Farrah covered the bald spots, just like my school achievements covered my feelings of inferiority. The success of my dad's salon afforded him nice used Cadillacs. One day, a guy friend came over, saw our Cadillacs in the garage and said, well, it looks like the hairstyling business is doing pretty good. He was making fun of my dad. It stung, but I just laughed it off. Another time, someone scratched the word fag on my dad's car when it was parked in his work garage. I was horrified. Whether this accusation was true or not, I did everything I could to get rid of this disquieting feeling. So I plunged myself into getting more involved at church. I went on to college at SMU, where girls were defined by their rich daddies. We could afford it because mom's job there paid for my tuition. I covered up my bald spots and got into the right sorority. My achievements masked my feeling different from my affluent dorm mates. Another ritual was born during a flight to England, where I was attending a summer program. Next to getting a shot in my eye, flying is what I feared most. I was a walking nerve ending. To me, going against gravity was for birds, not people. How would this giant 50-ton toenail clipper get off the ground? Even worse, the plane was being repaired. Every cling, clang, and bump was a sign that we were going to crash upon takeoff. It was then that I started to secretly cross myself while I prayed. This would not have been so weird if I was Catholic, but I was your garden variety Methodist. I would pretend to scratch my forehead and then move my hand down to my chest, scratch. Then I'd cross my hand over to the left and adjust my bra. I'd complete the cross by scratching my right armpit. I did this nonstop on takeoffs and landings from this day forward. After graduation, I ran away to New York City. I thought that if I stayed in Dallas and started dating, guys would find out that I didn't have a trust fund and reject me because my dad did hair. While writing copy on Madison Avenue, my neurotic habits came into full play. Despite winning awards for my work, I was lonely, overspending and overdrinking. I was dating an actor, Wayne, who was having trouble getting it up. Wayne had a roommate, Sherry, who he had dated in D.C. They had come to New York together to make it on Broadway. During dinner one night, I learned that Sherry was not a woman, but previously a man. When I thought about Wayne having sex with this person who now had a little surgically hollowed out vagina and who couldn't even get it up with me, I lost it. That night, I got wasted, and we sang the score from Guys and Dolls. When I got home, everything crashed in. I opened a kitchen drawer and grabbed a knife. My thought, slit my wrists, but I couldn't do it. What followed was a ritual of touching a knife to each wrist an even number of times until things were balanced. Left, right, left, right. I performed this ritual every night before going to bed. I never cut myself. I just visualized all the bad blood flowing out of me. I thought I was going insane. Considering this madness, my debt and drinking problem, I decided to leave New York and move back to Dallas. There I found a doctor who explained what was going on. I had obsessive-compulsive disorder, OCD. Hallelujah, praise Jesus. Finally, my crazy nutball behavior had a name. My doctor explained that these rituals and compulsions were coping mechanisms used to control the obsessive thoughts and feelings. I learned that my hair pulling was trichotillomania, a form of OCD, and that OCD was a misfiring of neurons. Let's say you drop a pencil. With normal brain wiring, this message goes into the dropped a pencil department. With OCD, the neurons deliver the message to the panic department. That's when you think the house is on fire. I discovered that each ritual and compulsion came with anxiety and pleasure, much like when I pulled my hair. My rituals made the pain go away and made me feel in control. I then went to the nervous hospital and started medication. There, I met a woman who talked to aliens through her TV. I felt normal. After much therapy and getting sober, I knew I was going to be okay. So was the driving force behind my OCD my fear that people would think my dad was gay? Absolutely. But if my dad had sexual identity struggles, it's his story to tell, not mine. The bigger issue was why I cared so much about what people thought. How could I be so self-centered? I learned that people are usually too busy thinking of themselves to think about others. Further, I have been able to separate myself from my dad. I am not him, I am me. I've come to realize that my OCD distracted me from the painful truth of choosing men like my dad who I felt rejected me. But looking back, I know my dad was crazy about me. Every time I came into the salon, he'd brag on me almost to the point of embarrassment. I still don't know why he gave me that horrible short haircut, but I do forgive him. My dad adored my mom. In October 2003, he told my mother she was still as pretty as the day he married her. He died 2 days later. When my brother and I went through his closet for burial clothes, we marveled at his selection of Italian clothing. The man had style. He was funny, intelligent, kind, and good-hearted. His customers loved him. I still miss him every day. I am now happily married to a loving man who accepts me. I am truly grateful for all my blessings. I realize that things of this world are fleeting. Nearly all of my obsessions and compulsions have disappeared. I no longer have bald patches behind my ears, even though the hair is a little shorter there, a reminder of where I started. Do I have all my ducks in a row? Not yet, but I'm getting there.